Sleepers. Craig, give me a sleeper for this year.
I'm just going to toss out a name that has kind of been just hanging around like a barnacle for the last 3-4 years in the NFL.
Wow, what a
barnacle.
Good comp.
Zach Moss. Remember him? Just always pesky Zach Moss, just kind of ruining everyone's team. Yeah, I might want to draft Zach Moss. Now, Zach Moss, for those of you who don't know, is on the Cincinnati Bengals. And he's always been the friend in the rom-com. But now it's time for Zach Moss to let down his hair.
Leading man.
He got to do it a little bit on the Colts last year when Jonathan Taylor was holding out weeks 2 to 6. Zach Moss was the RB5. Don't you remember that stretch? We were like all freaking out.
Yeah.
Like, is Zach Moss better than Jonathan Taylor? He was the 5th best running back in fantasy. And this week I was reading a little bit and listening to the guys at Underdog, and Hayden Winks brought up an interesting point that Zach Moss is basically like one of the best running backs in the league last year out of shotgun.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
Now he's in Cincinnati, and the Bengals specifically run a ton of shotgun, particularly in the red zone.
It's Joe Burrow, which is the king of the park and bark now.
Totally. They don't want to hurt Joe Burrow, and Joe Mixon was terrible out of the shotgun. So, and look, even Joe Mixon on the Bengals, even though he was kind of like your standard average running back, still has like put in productive years every single year and is kind of like consistently like a top 20 guy. Mm-hmm. So I know everybody loves Chase Brown. Chase Brown? Yeah, Chase Brown is like the backup, sexy kind of scat back that they have that everybody likes. But I'm like, look, dude, they willingly traded Joe Mixon and brought in Zach Moss. And Zach Moss is good. I think once again, just like we talked about with Jonathan Taylor, the guy just has a boring name. On Wikipedia, Zach Moss's real name is Zacchaeus Malik Moss.
Ooh, I like that.
He could either go by Malik Moss.
Malik Moss, 3rd round pick.
Dude, Malik Moss or even Zacchaeus Moss. But Malik Moss, there's a lot of juice
or just
there.
Key Moss.
A lot of juice there.
I love Key Moss. That's great.
Key Moss, Malik Moss. It is incredible. Okay, so, all right. Oh, man. Should I tell you? Do you want to hear this tangent about, I figured out something about the name thing.
Okay.
Please.
Sure.
There's a visual element to it, and I don't know how to communicate it.
Oh, interesting. Okay. Like the name needs to look sexy? The combination of the letters?
The name has to have more than 2 syllables.
Well, it's not just that. So what I found out is picture like a blob, like picture a shape like a blob. And if I told you that the blob was either going to be named Kiko or like what was this? Like a bubo. What would you pick?
You'd pick a bubo.
You picked a bubo. And that's not exactly it. But
because the letters are circles and that reminds you of blobs.
Yes, but also it goes, researchers think it might go deeper than that, in that when you say like Kiko, your mouth, the shapes you're making, your tongue, your mouth, you're making flatter, sharper sounds. Mm-hmm. And that your brain, it's very obvious to your brain what subconsciously what shapes you need to make. And so that's something like sharp, like you're going to Kiko, but a bubo, like a bubo, like those kind of words, you're making like a circle with your mouth.
Yeah, that fully checks out.
And so what's incredible is they tested people. You said a bubo. What's amazing, 90% of people pick a bubo for the circular shapes, every language in the world. It's like uniform across all people in all dialects, Germanic, like any kind of discipline, like hemisphere, doesn't matter, which is kind of fucking nuts, isn't it? Anyway.
So there is science behind the whole name thing.
My point is, I don't know what the connection is, but I do think there's an actual real science that I'm not aware of. But there's some kind of science to the dumbass name conversation we keep having about why a guy like Malik Neighbors sounds fucking good at football. And there's something to it. And I think that there's some kind of arbitrage where Craig's probably right. Like if John Taylor was named Malik Moss, we'd be like number 1 pick. But he's named John Taylor, so he's going to be 9th. And I there's something, email us or your fantasy football Gmail if you know what I'm talking about.
Yeah,
because I feel like I have half of it.
Jahmyr Gibbs.
Yeah.
Sounds cool as hell.
Robert Woods just sounds terrible. Like it just doesn't sound good. Anyway.
I like this one though, Craig, because if you look back at last year, Joe Mixon averaged 18 touches a game. I think if you give Zach Moss that many touches, like he could truly be top 5.
Joe Mixon's a terrible name.
Yeah, again, also kind of boring.
Boring name.
Nothing boring there. Name. Yeah, I'm just like Zach Moss is like basically going in drafts at like the 30th. He's like the 30th running back coming off the board. And I'm like, dude, Zach Moss might be like the guy on one of the best offenses in the league.
Yeah.
My sleeper is just like straight up Isaiah Pacheco.
Yeah, I love him, man.
He's just like one of my memento tattoos is take production at face value and don't discriminate based on where these people were drafted in real life.
Right.
That's a big tattoo. I like that.
Yes. Should have got an editor.
Aaron Rodgers tattoo. I'll tell you all about it someday. It's a lot of symbology.
It's like lion with this lion and the Leo star.
See, that's a metaphor right
with
there.
With the astrology. And he's like, it's really deep. I'll explain it later though.
Rodgers is the type of guy where like you show up to like your freshman dorm room for the first time and he's like hanging up posters on the wall and it's all astrology and weird shit. And you're like, oh, fuck. This guy's going to be a lot.
Like
he's like, what's up, dude? You mind if I put my crystals here? And you're like, oh.
Hold on, I got to clean your chakra. Is that a thing? That's something I feel like that. Did I just make up words?
I think you shouldn't sleep on pillows, man. You should look into that. And you're like, okay.
Okay, man. All right. Got to go to orientation now.
See you later.
Anyway, I like Pacheco, but
we're just going to talk about Rodgers about
everything's about Rodgers.
That's an hour of me on Rodgers.
What was I saying? Let me fill in for you. I feel like, so you were saying essentially don't pay attention to where he was drafted. Isaiah Pacheco was
That is what
undrafted free agent. Also, don't pay attention to the way in which he runs because that can be a bit of an
I love the way
ick.
he runs.
Not for me.
Really? Oh, it's so fun.
When I watch him run, I'm like, there's no way this guy could be good.
Dude.
I don't know though, because it looks like he's trying harder than anyone else on the field.
Hard. He's trying
but that's the problem.
Hard. That's what's wrong with that. I love people who try.
It's like a quarterback who has to crow hop 3 times to make a 5-yard throw.
Yeah, he's like the opposite of Devon Achane, who just kind of runs
like
by
smooth
people.
and fluid. Like Jahmyr Gibbs, truly explosive accelerator.
Yeah. It's like he's
and then you
skiing.
have Pacheco, who looks like me after like if someone trained me for 6 weeks on running form, that's like what I would look like.
You know, like if you're trying to run in like a foot of snow.
Running underwater.
Like a dog when they go out like 8 inches, so they're like
high knees.
Oh my God. Maybe that's the thing is way more people could have been in the NFL if they just tried harder. I don't know.
But Heifetz, you're right in that like when they drafted Clyde Edwards-Helaire in the first round, for that entire offseason, everybody wouldn't shut up about how much Reed loves featuring running backs. They went back to his old days in Philadelphia, Brian Westbrook, all this stuff. It didn't happen with Clyde. And now just quietly over the last like 1 to 2 seasons, Isaiah Pacheco kind of just has been the guy.
Dude.
Other than the spurts of Jerick McKinnon, like Isaiah Pacheco is what we kind of thought Clyde Edwards-Helaire would be.
Yes.
McKinnon's not even on the team. He'll probably join them in August, but like he's just something you take out out of the garage in January. Dude, Clyde is the number 2 running back. Clyde has been exiled. Like it's Pacheco has actually Slokey took on a lot of the receiving work down the stretch. Pacheco's rookie year, 2022, he had like less than a target per game. Last year, like 3 targets per game. That's triple. Like, you know what I mean? Like,
that's math.
Like that. At that rate of 9. No, but really, he's the receiving back on the Kansas City fucking Chiefs. This offense, they added Xavier Worthy, who again I think it's less about what he's going to do, but more about he's going to make everyone else's job easier with his speed. And then Marquise Brown's a real receiver, and I'm looking at this offense with the Chiefs, and I'm like, if Pacheco was a first-round running back who just down the stretch was the guy for the Kansas City offense, I'd be like, we'd be all over this. And he's not. I don't know. I mean,
Pacheco, he's the Brock Purdy of running backs.
Yo, he
just like,
is.
I can't believe that this is going to be a thing.
We have him 34th, but yeah, exactly. And so Pacheco, do you guys know who the all-time leading rusher is for the Kansas City Chiefs in the playoffs?
It's, Jamal Charles? I don't know.
Priest Holmes?
Patrick Mahomes.
No.
But then Pacheco is second.
Oh, wow.
He's been in the NFL for 2 seasons. He's the all-time leading running back in rushing yards for the Kansas City Chiefs.
Wow.
So, yeah, I just look at Pacheco and I'm like, what an incredible... Like, if there's a guy that should be... if basically that first tier we were just talking about of like that Charlie's Angels plus John Taylor, like John Taylor, Bijan Robinson, Breece Hall, Jahmyr Gibbs that we're so excited to have. If someone's going to join that group, it's probably like Kyron Williams, who did it, but is right there. Or like Isaiah Pacheco is so easy to see joining that group, and we just don't believe it because unlike Bijan or Gibbs, he wasn't a first-round pick, and John Taylor and Breece Hall were like really high second-round picks. The only difference with Pacheco is he kind of runs really stupid and went in the 7th round. Anyway.
Yeah. I actually like this a lot, though, Heifetz. I think this is spot on. He doesn't have a lot of competition attached to a great offense, attached to a great quarterback.
The other guys are Keontae Ingram and LaMichael Pirine.
Louis Rees-Zammit.
Oh yeah, the Welsh rugby player.
Yeah,
it's going to be the kickoff. Yeah, exactly. That's the thing. They have kickoff returns.
Kadarius still there. Maybe they'll convert him to running back.
DK, who's your sleeper?
I'm going to go with Gus Edwards, Gus Bus, who is now going to be running Baltimore West for the Chargers under Greg Roman. This is a Greg Roman offense that's led by Justin Herbert. I feel like that's going to give the team overall a lot of opportunities in the deep red zone. And I would not be surprised whatsoever if, like, at this time in December, we're talking about Gus Bus as like a Jamal Williams, Raheem Mostert type player, where just scoring ludicrous amounts of touchdowns, not necessarily like a ton of yards, but just a touchdown or two every game. Just because I think this is going to be a good offense. And they're going to give him a lot of scoring opportunities, and he's going to be their goal line back, most likely. I guess J.K. Dobbins, if he's healthy, does pose a threat, but man, that just feels like a tall order for J.K. Dobbins, who's been injured every single year. So I'm going with Gus Bus here. The lead guy, the only competition he has is J.K. Dobbins, who has yet to stay healthy, and then Kamani Vidal, who was a 6th-round pick. So get him in there.
Gus Edwards had 12 touchdowns in his final 11 weeks.
Yeah.
Which is so funny.
You guys know how much guaranteed money J.K. Dobbins is making on the Chargers?
Like $50K.
Oh, I heard it. It was like really, really ridiculously low.
Yeah, Heifetz is right. $50,000.
$50,000.
I think it's a little bit of a misnomer because it's like they could cut him, I think is what that means. If he makes the team, though, I believe his salary just becomes guaranteed. I could be wrong about that.
Right.
But if he doesn't make the team, then yeah, Gus Edwards would be. But they'll also just
we're at the point this is so early on in the offseason that like I like everybody. Like every name that anyone brings up, I'm like, yeah, Gus Edwards. I totally see
every
it.
position. I'm like, this is really deep. A lot of good players.
Like everyone seems great.
This is like a dangerous correlate. Like for me to connect these two is obviously probably really stupid, but like how many rushing touchdowns did Blake Corum have for Jim Harbaugh last year? It was like 27 or something ridiculous.
Yeah, disgusting.
Like obviously this is not the Michigan football team and this is the NFL, not college football. But I don't know. Stylistically, I feel like Harbaugh's going to want to recreate exactly what he was doing in Michigan. And that just means just smash mouth football.
Wait, I have to look this up. Ian Hartitz has this great bit about all-time. So if you look at the all-time list, oh no, did it change? I think it did. That's too bad.
Oh yes, I know what you're talking about.
Ian Hartitz has this great bit that the all-time list for like career yards per carry, they always cut it off at a certain amount of carries because they wanted Emmitt Smith, like Walter Payton, Frank Gore, and then wait, no, sorry, I'm looking at total yards. That's wrong. It's rushing yards per carry. And it's like they want it to come off as like what? It's like Jamal Charles and Barry Sanders, but they have to cut it off because Gus Edwards is like right up there, but they don't want to show him on the telecast. They don't really makes the stat look really dumb. So they always cut it off as like whatever is like right under, like we'll exclude Gus Edwards, but he's
one
like
carry more than Gus Edwards has every single season.
Yeah, exactly.